This is Tim Moerman. He is Sustainability and ESG Director Europe at AB InBev. Tim, welcome.
Good afternoon, Jean-Paul, and thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Tim. So, indeed, before we go into a deeper conversation with yourself and with Tina, let's also then hear it from you at AB InBev on what some of your ambitions are. And if we can't get you to click through your own slides, we'll help you with that, and you can just give us a next slide, okay?
Perfect. Thank you,
The
Jean-Paul.
floor is yours, Tim.
Very excited to be talking a bit about our sustainability journey and also specifically what it means for packaging and for glass, right? So we're a beer company, we're a global beer company, which means that we're very much reliant on packaging, on natural ingredients, on raw materials all over. And we know that for that matter, actually, we also have to protect and preserve the natural environment that we operate in, right? So very much also like Tina's product, our product is rooted in nature. And so we know that we need to take care of nature for the long-term sustainability of our business. I'm going to give a bit of a brewer's perspective on sustainability, but more specifically actually on packaging, what it means for us, what our ambitions are, what our goals are, what have we been working on, and what's the roadmap ahead of us. Because however much we're proud of some of the projects and the progress so far, we know that the road ahead is long, and there's challenges for some of which we don't have the answer to, right? And that's something I think that I'll be very keen to discuss. I'm not sure, are my slides visible? Yes, perfect. Thank you very much. Actually, now I've managed to get into the control. So if this works, you should be able to see the second slide. So a brewer's perspective on circular packaging, right? And on packaging sustainability, I think it's very inherent and specific to our category. I think that we're lucky. We have a lot of our volume in returnable packaging, right? And we know from a carbon perspective, from a sustainability perspective, returnable packaging means a big deal, right? So these are kegs, these are glass bottles that come back time and time again, and it's something that we're proud of. It's something that we foster. It's something that we really cherish, and that also we know a lot of consumers in a lot of markets are very used to. Obviously, that's not the case in all the markets where we operate. But it's something that it is inherent to the category and inherent to beer. Of course, circularity just goes beyond looking at the packaging type, the packaging mix, the emissions of packaging, etc. Any sustainability strategy should be focused and rooted in your materiality assessment. And for us, if you look at our operations, if you look at our product and our category and the beers that we brew, we know that basically there's a mix and an interaction between water, carbon emissions, and then also the sustainability of the packaging. And these three, you see them basically as being our top priorities together with circular economy there in terms of what matters to the company, what matters to the community, if you will. These 3-4 parameters also closely interact and are interlinked with each other, right? So some packaging uses a lot of water, for instance, in the production. We know also that there's a big link between our packaging emissions and our overall emission footprint. So we know that certainly if you're looking at scope 3 emissions, that circular packaging will be part, and the future of packaging, if you will, and closing the glass loop and closing the packaging loop will be part of the solution. We've set ambitious goals for 2025, and there's 2 goals, and then basically linked to the circular packaging piece that I would like to highlight. The first piece is really on circular packaging, right? So if you talk about closing the glass loop, we're talking about having returnable packaging or packaging with a majority recycled content. And we know certainly, and I was listening carefully when Tina was mentioning about the Flint bottle and how it's tougher to get a high recycled content percentage in these bottles. We have a mix, a variety of bottles. Of course, if you see, I'm here in the Corona room in our offices in Leuven in Belgium, and you could actually tell that a lot of the Corona bottles, obviously, that we have are Flint. So majority recycled content is something that we're actively working on, certainly on Flint bottles, right? So what can we even do more to go beyond that 50%? For amber, green, and other colored bottles, it's easier to get to higher levels of recycled content, right? So we have a global ambition for 50% recycled content in all our primary packaging by 2025. Today already in Europe, we're way ahead of that target. For the reasons that we also will be discussing in this session, right? Because of historical reasons of having actually very good collection and recycling systems in place, with an EPR kind of landscape that has been around for a while, and where there's active participation of the industry to make it happen. But packaging doesn't stop there. You don't only close a glass loop because of raw materials, because of recycled content. It's very important to close a glass loop also because of emissions, right? So if you look at the carbon intensity of our packaging overall, it's nearly 40% of our full emission footprint. If you look at the scope 1 and 2 and 3 emissions of our company. So it's something to be aware about. We didn't only think about the short term, if you will, so the next 3 years and the 2025 goals that we're aiming to achieve at a global scale as AB InBev. We're also looking beyond that, right? Again, coming back to the point of packaging and emissions, net zero and decarbonization of our supply chain is critical and paramount to us. So not just going to climate neutral, carbon neutral, where we would be offsetting emissions. We really want to reduce, and we need to reduce these emissions drastically over the years to come, because we know it's not so much the emissions that we will have left in 2040, 2050 that will dictate the impact of climate change on the world, or the further impact of climate change on the world. It's really the pace of decarbonization and the culmination or the combined CO2 emissions over the next 15 years that will be even more critical than the levels we get to ultimately. So that's very important that we decarbonize. And we want to decarbonize further and faster than basically even what Paris Agreement is telling us. How do you decarbonize? How do you make packaging more sustainable? We've wrapped our head around that, because we obviously package a lot of beers at a global level, and we're very much reliant on packaging. We're very much reliant on cans, but even more so on glass bottles at a global scale. The glass bottle is so inherently linked to beer and to the ritual of drinking, right? Just think about the lemon in a Corona bottle. It's basically one and the same, and it's very important for the purpose. It's very important for the protection of the product. It's very important for the consumer experience. It's very important for many good reasons. But obviously, we need efficient packaging, we need optimal packaging, and we need low carbon packaging, right? So we have been working on low carbon packaging solutions. It's something that we would love that we will be working on together with our largest suppliers for sure in the years to come. We have a platform which is called Eclipse, which basically is the platform that we use to decarbonize our supply chain. We're lightweighting. We have developed the lightest beer bottle in the world. Last year we did already announcements, I think the year before. Basically, that is something that we're rolling out, scaling now globally, which is very important to us. Reusing, right? So reusing not only in terms of the returnables, but also the recycled content, close the loop, get back the glass into the new bottle. Creating new supply chains on collection and recycling, very important to us. I think we're all lucky, and certainly the people on the call who are living in Europe, to have very good collection and recycling systems, but it's not everywhere. And we know at the same time there's challenges also with the European systems for sure in some markets. And then also rethinking waste, right? So how can we, for instance, this basket there that holds six Corona bottles, it basically is made from barley straw, right? So we use the barley that is malt, goes into the beer, but the straw we're using basically in new solutions we can use actually to make baskets. This is a crate. This is a Corona crate that we launched in Germany last year. It has a number of benefits. First of all, it contains bottles, right? It keeps the bottles safe and stored. It's also a way for consumers to carry them and to get them home safely, to get them back ultimately in an ideal case. And then this bottle crate specifically is made from almost 100% recycled plastic, but also from marine waste, right? So we're going to talk about consumer perception most likely today and how consumers deal with collection and recycling. This is a key enabler. Another one is, for instance, Perfect Draft, right, which brings an in-home experience to people in a reusable pack. Jean-Paul, I think that was it in terms of a presentation, if that makes sense, but I'm very keen to go into Q&A and the discussion with Tina, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it makes sense, and thanks also then for sharing this global overview. I think it's important that we kick off this conversation with a sense of where you're coming from as a company, and then we'll try and go a little bit deeper into some of the more specific actions linked to glass collection and recycling. So, thank you, Tim.